Wait, no, we can't kill Pelgard. And for what reason would that be? He seems like a nice guy.
You know, to be fair, Percy, he did almost just slaughter a whole bunch of innocent people with his massive fire explosion. You were there. You saw that.
I'm actually not gonna lie, Sir Percival. That is rather true. I did want to take him alive, but he may just have to get up out of here. But we can't. I know. Pencil will be mad. No, I won't. Wait, you're actually here? Yes. But wait, I thought you loved Pelgard. Isn't he your, favorite character outside of Nocians? Oh, well, yeah, I love Papa Pelgard. Why, thank you, good sir. Always a pleasure. But, considering I want you to suffer, Percival, in order to increase your character status, if you won't end him, I'll do it myself. Wait, what? Thank you to our $5 patrons, Sinus Lancelot, Artgoon, Praise the Sun, and Strawbones. And a big thank you to our Noise, $69 tier patron, Brian. Now, before we hop into this breakdown of Chapter 62 of Fortnights of the Apocalypse, please do me a favor and leave your owners on the chapter in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure you hit that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. You can get things like exclusive reactions, early videos, all kinds of stuff over there for as low as $1 a month. Now, let's get into it with last week's poll. So, last week I ended up asking y'all who was going to get in Pelgard's cheeks the most. Pause. Actually, it's 2022. Remove the pause. You can keep the tape. I wanted to know, out of the 4 Nights of the Apocalypse, who was going to end up jumping I can't say that. Attacking Pelgard and destroying him the most. In fact, I just wanted to know who you thought was going to put their foot up Pelgard's behind the most. And with 224 votes, y'all went out for it. And leading with a solid 54%, over double her next contender, Gawain came on this scene. And y'all declared heartily that she was going to crush his head and not between her thighs. And I'm sorry, the comment section on that post alone, produced so many laughs for me. But a runner-up was Tristan. Obviously, a lot of us were like, well, Tristan got to fight Percival, but honestly, that wasn't real curve stomp. We didn't get a dark talisman like we got with Lancelot. So obviously, there's a whole ton of hope that maybe Tristan will get that in there. 25% of y'all. Lancelot, he only got 13%. I'm not exactly shocked about that. He essentially got his big moment stomping one of Arthur's groups of knights, literally a whole group of knights. So it wouldn't really make sense for Nagaba to really double dip on that. Shout out to Percival. Some of y'all really thought Percival with the Mega Magic Tims was going to come in there and show Pelgard what it's worth. 7% of y'all. Honestly, this poll was just really, really fun. Make sure you get in for tomorrow's poll dropping at 12 p.m. I love doing these. Obviously, the comment sections are great on these. Just getting the votes, getting the community consensus is amazing. It's hilarious. And these are just really fun to do. Make sure you get tomorrow's poll dropping at 12 p.m. Now, let's get into Chapter 62. What's up, guys? I got the pencil here, and here we are to Chapter 62 of Fortnights of the Apocalypse, which is known as... Wait, someone said they hate... Someone really... I remember someone commented that. So hold on, let me say it normally for once. Fortnights of the Apocalypse. There we go. I'm sorry. Maybe even that's... I'm not even sure. I should have asked them which way do they hate more? Do they hate when I put all the Fortnights of the Apocalypse on Sorry, I'm in a good mood. I'm in an extra good mood today, and I'm happy to record this because I really, really like this chapter. But, speaking of, if you ever want live reactions or my initial thoughts to these chapters, go join the Patreon. You get those videos for as low as $1 a month. I appreciate any of the support. I love recording those, and you'll get reactions that are super genuine out of me because I never read the chapters beforehand. Now I save it all for the Patreon, no matter how hard the wait is, even if I see a spoiler here or there. So they're a lot of fun. Go check the Patreon for that. However, regardless of that, this chapter is different for a variety of reasons. But once again, I gotta bring it up. I just have to bring it up in this intro. Yo, look at this intro page. How tall is Gawain? Now I'll admit the heights are more proportional than what they seem to be in last week's color page, but legitimately, Gawain is Tristan is not up to Gawain's elbows. He's barely up to Gawain's elbows. Golly gee willikers, that woman's tall. Look at Percival. Percival is not even he just barely reaches her waist. I'm assuming proportions are still off just a little bit because she's literally standing outside the panel. So Obviously, maybe it's not exactly the scale, but I don't know. I would love it if like there's just a running gag, like they just keep getting shorter and shorter throughout the series because Gawain just keeps getting taller and taller. However, the start of a new legend, aka Percy. Why, man? Like, Percy fumbled the eye. Enough. Let's get into the chapter itself. So, open up, and we get to see that Pelgar, he's still shaking with excitement, aka shaking with pure liquid fear. Like, legitimately, the fact he's like, wow, what a fine honor! I didn't expect to meet the 4 knights of the apocalypse today. If I was in Pelgar's position, I'd be gone. I would have been gone 15 minutes ago, 15 seconds ago. Like, I would not be in the same vicinity. Why would I stay there? Like, I know he's excited to meet the 4 knights, like, but like, I don't know. And like putting myself in Pelgar's shoes, right? I am one of Arthur's many knights. And these 4 individuals who happen to be standing in front of me right now are the ones that are ready to take him down. My king down. And he happens to be fused with the literal creator of the verse. And these guys are supposedly being able to run his fate. Are we sure about that? Like, I know Pelgar's a demon, like, relative to a lot of the knights we've seen so far. Pelgar definitely, yeah, I'd even say Ironside. Like, he's at best, or no, at worst, relative to Ironside, if not superior based off their one combat-esque interaction. But even with that being said, he pulled up and saw the bodies. Well, maybe not the bodies. I think Lance had buried them by that point. But he sensed the Dark Talismans perishing. And that was one of the knights. He just saw Percy's development, and that was one of the knights. He just saw Tristan whip out the goddess and the demon eye. But he's staying here, hyping himself up. Like this was an unexpected honor. A fine honor, if you will. Fine death. Like, what do you really expect from this? Other than pure death itself. However, enough of getting on Pelgar's either extreme bravery or extreme stupidity. We get to see Gawain being like, hold up, wait a minute. Ooh, but like, wait, these are the Knights of Prophecy like me, and like, notably, Lance was extremely cryptic, but that's just because Lance is Lance. Tristan seems like the exact opposite of Lance personality-wise. Like, you couldn't tell. Like, I mean, maybe Gawain just wasn't listening. I don't know. Gawain definitely seems like a person who you would talk directly to, like, explain everything. She would nod and be like, yeah, I got you. And then when the time for the plan to unfold, or you're supposed to meet up, you'd be looking around, and then you call her up and be like, hey, where are you? We talked about this the other day. And be like, oh well. I'm not coming. And then hang up the phone. Like, not gonna lie, I'm assuming that's it. Because I bet Tristan told her the entire story, even if Gawain was super secretive about what she was for some reason. Now I think about it, that, like, hindsight being 2020, it kind of doesn't make sense why Gawain was all, like, hush-hush about who or what she was. Especially considering she just took the armor off and started strolling around Leonis and just showed up to start a fight. Like, why did she not take the armor off previously? I wonder if we're gonna get an explanation for that, or if that was just, like, plot-induced stupidity. Like, that's kind of weird. Like, I get, on a narrative level, it works for us, because Nakaba wanted to build up to Gawain's reveal. But on an inverse level and on a character level, that seems very, very contradictory to the Gawain we've gotten so far. If anything, I feel like she'd be proud flaunting around. Like, yeah, I'm Gawain. Suck my shmee. Like, legitimately, I don't know, but maybe that's just me. However, we get to see that even if she didn't recognize the knights, now that the knights are recognized, Donnie and they're all about the business. They're like, yo, see that black knight over there? Curb stomp him with the mega magic Tims. I don't care if you got to use your thighs. Crush his head. But the thing is, right? Anne very specifically says, now this is our fight. Shut up. And then, well, no, this isn't. See, I feel bad now. Now I know this could be misinterpreted. Someone's going to take that. But I mean this as in, y'all done nothing. I hate to say it. Y'all got guilt thundered before the first season was over. Y'all are useless. What have y'all done? Y'all got curb stomped the moment y'all got to Leonis by the Tristan platoon. And to be fair, Kai did cheat, but still, y'all got curb stomped. Then you had to be saved from Pelgar, and now you're still standing back. Don't put disrespect on my boy Pelgar's name. Yeah, sure, they can jump him and absolutely annihilate him, unfortunately, but that doesn't give you the right to speak up and start talking smack, young lady. If anything, what you should be declaring at the top of your lungs, Donnie and Nonsense get on this train too, is that the like button is free and so is the subscribe button. So if you're enjoying what you're seeing so far and you're here for the rest of the video, hit the like button. It greatly helps out the channel, greatly helps me out. Hit the subscribe button, greatly helps the channel out, greatly helps me out. Thank you. But regardless of that, I do find it funny how they're like, yes, now that we're behind literally the supposed 4 strongest people in the verse, or people who will become the 4 strongest people in the verse, beat them up. now this is our fight to win. Only because you guys are here. Go do it. And ironically enough, like, it's so rare when it happens, but like, I do love when characters in the narrative will acknowledge, like, okay, this was a cool, like, end of episode, end of chapter moment. Everyone's gathered together. Amazing, cool, legendary. Okay, are you guys gonna do anything now? Like, Pelgar's literally like, well, the 4 of you are standing there, rather posed up, and like you're about to jump me, but you're now still just standing there. What now then? I don't know. I find it hilarious. But then we get to see that Lancelot, for some reason, is being nice. Like, legitimately, he's like, look, old man, if you're gonna run, best do it now. Why? Like in narrative, like, in fact, I'm gonna go quote him. Give me a second. I'll be right back. Chapter 49 of 4 Nights of the Apocalypse. Lancelot has just revealed himself, and Fittich is left standing. This is Fittich speaking. Lancelot, I've not heard that name before. What is going on? If you're that well trained of a holy knight, surely we would have heard rumors of you. Lancelot responding. It's simple. Rumors, you see, are spread by survivors. Fight me, and you don't. All there is to it. Lancelot, around... what? What's some quick math? 13 chapters later. Look, old man, if you're gonna run, best do it now. Why are you offering him a chance to escape? Like, Lancelot, you, if anyone was about the business in the 4 Nights of the Apocalypse before we met Gawain, it was you. You were the one that established the kill on sight narrative. You were the one who was straight up telling Percy, hey, don't let your enemies live. They can become, like, legit. Hold on, I'm about to go back and quote him again. Chapter 44 of 4 Nights of the Apocalypse. This is after Percy has just saved Elgin from a drop to his death. Sin speaking, also known as Lancelot. We won that fight because he underestimated us, just like I predicted. But if we let him live, we'll pay for it dearly next time. Or do you think they'll have a change of heart if you show him some pity? No, I don't, but... Oh wait, Percival speaking. No, I don't, but I don't want to kill, no matter who it is, unless it's Talisker, because I completely murdered that man. Pfft, what a mark. So Lancelot, can you please tell me why you changed up your memo? Like, what happened? I actually, like, think about it. I kind of wrote it off in the live reaction, I think. Actually, no, I didn't. Let me not lie. But still, legitimately, why are you being soft now? Like, even Pelia is looking at him like, huh? Like, legitimately, why the change of heart? I don't know. This is very out of character, and there's no justification given for it in this chapter. Well, no, there is, but it's false justification. And, like, I mean, maybe this is in character. Hold on, let me consider it, right? Because even Tristan is straight up like, and you know it's like these two switch mentality slightly, because admittedly Tristan still doesn't want to kill him, but Tristan straight up turned, like, it's so, like, it is such a shocking character turn that Tristan, after going out of his way to activate the Triskelion and the Demon Eye, hard reverts to be like, what? How dare you give the enemy a chance to flee? We have to take a prisoner. We have to. He's straight, like, Tristan is actually blown just as much as I was. Like, he's like, this is too out of character for you, Lancelot. What are you talking about, bro? And Lance's justification is like, what's it matter? He's looking for a fight, not to kill. Dude, I get, the only way I could see you arguing this not being out of character is the fact that Lance earlier was so on the execution train because these people wanted them dead. Like the Dark Talismans were explicitly an assassin group. But in that same vein, what? like, this is Pelgard, the Black Knight. Dude, the moment you saw it, the only thing, like, Pelgard doesn't want to kill you now. And then again, he's only expressed non-murderous interest in Percival, not the rest of y'all, Lance. Like, once again, cool and aloof, but very out of character. I'm not sure if there's a, like, the only other way I could hypothetically rationalize this is if Lance is trying to spare Percy's feelings, or if Percy has affected Lance's ideology. But even still, it's kind of weak. like legitimately, I'm like, iffy, not too spiffy on that one. Because, like, legitimately, okay, maybe you got affected slightly by this interaction that you have with Percy, but even then, this just seems weird, especially for such a high-ranking knight too. Like, maybe not killing him, fine, because that's something Percy would do. But, like, at least capturing him. Why would you let him flee? Like, come on now, Lancelot. That doesn't make sense on any level. But so, I was about to say maybe he's trying to avoid a war crime, but dude, he's invading your territory in the middle of an active conflict. Might as well just capture him. And like, even Tristan's on the same mindset. He's like, so what? He's still our enemy. Like, there's no reason to spare. One, no reason to spare him. And two, especially no reason to let him free. This is so bad. But admittedly, I do like this, though. This is a little character note that I do like. It makes sense. We see that Tristan immediately turns to the person he knows the best, or after Lancelot, obviously. Person he turns to the best, where he's like, yo, what do you think, Gawain? Don't you think letting the enemy go would be a travesty? Don't you? And I like how both Lancelot and Tristan, the two people who receive their fellow knights, are one way or another, subconsciously, maybe in Lancelot's case, or consciously probably with him. Because for some reason, I highly doubt Lancelot is much of a subconscious thinker. But in terms of who they go to for reassurance, Tristan turns to Gawain, the person he went and collected. I think that's really, really cool. It shows that there's some sort of bond, at least mentally, between the two and the people they went and got. I think that's nice. It's little details like that I appreciate. However, we get to see that Gawain is like, I still love it. Gawain is like, kill him now. I don't know why. It still sends me. Just kill him. He must pay. No, when I tell you what, like, I love Escanor. Legitimately love. And I think, like, I say this now off the top of my head. Who knows? Maybe after another reread, maybe after more reflections, it will change. But Escanor is probably my favorite character that Seven Deadly Sins as an entire narrative produced. And Seven Deadly Sins is full of characters I really, really appreciate and that are in some of my favorite characters of all time. And one of my favorite things about him was that Demon Time narrative that he was on. And we do get to see that Gawain is carrying on the spirit. Because the reason she declares that Pelgard must die, he must simply be executed, is because she called him, she was called a little girl by Pelgard. But in actuality, I'm pretty sure Pelgard called her a young lady. Didn't actually call her a little girl. But no, for this travesty, for this mockery upon Gawain's honor, he must die 1,000 deaths. Like, God, like, I know honor is a very big thing, especially during this time period. Like, the honor of a knight and stuff like that is super duper important. But golly gee, look, because he called Gawain, aren't you 16? Well, no. See, that I get, you know what? I gave it, maybe that is like the ultimate insult. Because 16 is the age of adulthood, and she is taller than him. He should have at least called her a fully adult woman, I guess, legally, by that time period. So I guess he deserves 1,000 deaths. And even Tristan, like, chapter by chapter, like, my ranking of the knights is just constantly just hopping around, like, how much I enjoy them. Though I'll admit, Lance, ever since his reveal, has kind of firmly been at number one in terms of just overall characters. So even then, that's actually kind of shaky now, just because of how much I like this chapter. But even Tristan, he has a very hilarious reaction. He's like, "Hold on now, like, I was down for capturing him." But maybe the execution's a little bit too much. Maybe we don't need to go that far. And I love how, like, Tristan reasonably I mean, maybe the most interesting thing about this group and its dynamics is kind of they're all in the Escanor. Like, if you remember Escanor's backstory, where no one really knew how strong Escanor was, it was kind of like a variant. Like, he didn't have any clear feats, no narrative behind him other than he was pretty strong. Like, my urge to tell you that the like button and the subscribe button is free is pretty strong, and I'd greatly appreciate if you hit both of those. Thank you so much. But also, you can share the video too if you really appreciate it. No, I'm kidding. Well, I mean, I'm not kidding. You could. But in the same vein, the reason I'm assuming Tristan is so like, well, you don't have to go that far. Like, he's kind of sweating and scared is because none of them really know each other's true power here. Like, maybe the two best who may have seen the absolute peaks of each other are Tristan and Lance. But even then, Lance has been gone for years, and Tristan has likely gotten a whole ton stronger. We know from the Edinburgh movie information, which took place like just pre-narrative, this narrative, essentially. Now, I'm not sure how old Tristan's supposed to be. I think he is older than the end of Seven Deadly Sins. He's not just 10 in that one, but he is not the current 16-year-old Tristan we have right here. He didn't even have his demon powers unlocked by that point. So none of this group truly have seen their full strength, except Lancelot knows how strong Percy is. So the kind of hesitancy amongst them to like agitate the other, it's pretty cool. It is pretty cool. It's once again little minor details that would make sense in a group of very powerful people, because like, you don't want to set the other off. You're supposed to be a team. You want to be as careful as possible. I think it's neat. However, we do get to see Lancelot finally have a little shock reaction when Percy just walks away. He walks straight up to Pelgard. And admittedly, Lance, you're folding. Like twice over. First, you don't want to execute Pelgard, which I think is a little bit out of character for you. Then you don't even want to capture him, which I think is even more out of character for you. And now you're just letting Percy walk up to the guy that you literally, well, maybe he doesn't know, but should make a pretty healthy assumption is stronger than him. Like, Lance wasn't there to see the whole interaction where Percy admitted, like, hey, yo, this dude's stronger than me. Like, he didn't get the Hashirama saying Jubito reaction where he's like, oh, I just can't beat this guy right now. He is stronger than me. But you can take a guess, Lance. Like, maybe letting the dude who you know has, or at least should assume has access to the same teleport beads or different type of magical orbs that you do, meaning he could easily just teleport away right now. Maybe you shouldn't let the weakest of you go and hypothetically get kidnapped. I don't know, strategist, leader, forward thinker, maybe that isn't your prerogative. No, but like, straight up, I was admittedly in the initial reading of the chapter, I was pretty confused on why the whole group kind of just let Percy go up alone. Like, it'd be one thing if they all just jumped him. Like, notably, I'm a big fan of JJK, or JJ, Jumpin' Jack, aka Jump Jack, whoever he is, Jump Jack and get him, because jumping makes more sense. And obviously, if you're all in range of the teleport bead, then it's very unlikely that Pelgar's going to want to teleport. Actually, no. In that case, admittedly, there's no safe situation to handle this unless you're directly attacking Pelgar and he needs to defend himself. Because, reasonably, all Pelgar needed to do was run up to them with a teleport bead at hand, slam it on the ground, and teleport straight back to Arthur. And then the series over. Like, as strong as these guys are, we have not seen the upper limit of 3 of their powers. So it's very likely that they have extreme amounts of strength. But I don't think this 16-year-old group is going to be the one that's going to defeat Arthur. So Pelgar really could just expedite the narrative and then just get them all. Then again, he doesn't want Percival to die. So, up in the air. However, enough of like super in-depth narrative critique. I know that's what some people come here for, but at the same time, we gotta stop. No, I'm kidding. But we get to see that Percival walks up to Pelgard, and I love how Pelgard acknowledges it. He's like, "Oh, I see what you're doing there, Percival. Now you're ready to fight. After you have all these allies, after you're ready to jump me." And to be fair, if I was Percival in that scenario, my answer would be, "Well, yes." Like, straight up, like, indeed. Pelgard, I'm not stupid enough to fight you one-on-one after you just proved you're stronger than me. I'm dumb, but I'm not that stupid. But no. We see that Percival has gone up to Pelgard essentially to declare peace. He's like, yo, let me level with you. Even though you did almost just kill me, my friends, and a whole bunch of other people with your massive fire explosion, I don't want to fight. I just can't hate you the same way I do Dad and Arthur. And is that a voice crack? I mean, no, but I mean, like, it's like I'm trying to narratively quantify like the hatred meter. Like, I get why Percival hates his dad because he did kill his grandfather right in front of him and try to kill him and then succeed in killing him. So it do be like that when dealing with that sometimes. But it's not like Pelgard's entirely free of guilt. Like Percival, just now you saw him try to slaughter everyone you know and love with a massive fire explosion. So why is he suddenly morally not culpable? Because he's kinder? Because he hasn't tried to stab you? I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. But he did try to light you on fire, man. Like, this isn't... He's not morally free. But I suppose, Percival, first impressions are important. So maybe he's like, you didn't try to kill me immediately, and you didn't help me awaken my magic, so I don't want to fight you. And we see that, like, Nakaba does an amazing job at drawing armor. I'll say it. Like, out of all... But then again, I'll admit, I don't read too many medieval... I don't read that many manga that have prevalent appearances of armor. However, I love that the reaction of Pelgard is hidden by the armor. So you just get this panel of Pelgard that's just perfectly just flat. Like, it's just the face of his armor. And I'm assuming he's like, look up puzzled face, and like the third image that pops up, bada bing bada boom. I'm assuming that's what Pelgard's doing under the armor. Like, are you stupid? Like in context, even I would be wondering. Like, I've done nothing but offer to kidnap you, and harm your friends, and even harm you. Why? Like, I mean, maybe he says as much, so maybe Pelgar's like wondering, if he doesn't hate me as much, where am I on the hatred scale? Like, Melios's food has to be at the bottom. Maybe I'm somewhere in the middle. I wonder what the scale. Like, like, legitimately, what is the? I wish we got to see Pelgar's face under the armor there, but. We get to, like, the thing is, it isn't necessarily out of character for Percival. Percival, for some reason, now does not like conflict, even though I'm never going to forget the amount of blood that Percival has. At least Talisker. Talisker's dead. Unless that man pops up again later in the narrative, which I highly doubt, considering he is vastly outscaled by this point. Like, pretty much everyone. Percy, you killed that man. And you fought many a thing before. So the fact that Pelgar gets spared, it's even throwing off his entire group. Like, Nasians, Donnie, and Anne are all looking at him like, Percival? Like, what are you talking about? Are you stupid? like everyone there is a little bit on the, Percy, you a little bit dumb right now train. And even, like, Tristan, who has not traveled with Percival, but knows he's one of the foreigners of the apocalypse, was like, what is he talking about? He's like, even Tristan, the nicest guy on the planet, is like, is he stupid? Does he need help? Lance, are you sure you got the right one? Did you need to bury this one too? Do we need to bury this one too? Like legitimately, I know he's confused because I'm confused. And Lancelot doesn't even have a response. But we get to see that Percival even admits that he's stupid. He's like, you might laugh and say I know nothing about you, but I don't know. I can tell you're not a bad guy. Is that strange of me to say? Yes, Percival. It's strange of you to say. Now back up from the strange man. See, hold on. Give me a second. Okay. I know Pelgar's in heels, but bro must be like 8 feet. Percival's 4'11". Look at how small he looks next to Pelgar. And Gawain's even bigger. Is Gawain 10 feet tall? Gawain has to be 10 feet tall. Because, like, legitimately, Pelgar is already darn near 10 feet tall, considering he's twice a Percival. And then Gawain's taller than that, by like at least head and shoulders. What the he's I know it's some scale thing, right? And it's mainly like a narrative stuff. Like, I know Percival, his height isn't very consistent. But just like the image of him so tiny next to Pelgar, given the context of what we know, is just absolutely hilarious. But of course we get to see that Pelgar kind of gets what Percival's saying here. He's like, you know what, Percival? I see what you mean. That guy, actually, let me put on the Pelgar voice. Mm-hmm. So, you're asking me to request of the people hit the like button, and also subscribe to help out that guy with the pencil. Even consider his Patreon, if they could help out. Well, I can't do that. No, but please, if you don't mind, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and you can check out the Patreon. But regardless of that, Pelgard is like, yo, so let me level with you real quick. You're asking me to sever ties with my master and join your side. Maybe fill up that stupid theory that the pencil has. Well, yeah. And obviously, no. like what did Percival really expect here? Like, even, once again, Donnie being the voice of reason is definitely a problem. Because even he's like, huh? Is he for real? And like, Percival, what did you actually expect here? You know, as you said yourself, you know nothing about this man. You have no idea why he's even loyal to Arthur in the first place. And you know he's wanted to take you and kidnap you on multiple occasions. So why would you put yourself in grab range? Because literally what immediately happens is after a quick pat to the head, which Percival very much appreciates, it gets grabbed. Like, I'll admit, I almost drew that. Like, y'all see the image I'm drawing now. And this time I did draw it before I recorded. So, while you may be seeing Gawain, I'm not actually sure what point of the video relative. I'm not sure how long this review is going to be. But while you may see Tristan and Gawain with each other, in actuality, I was so close to drawing Pelgard literally just picking up Percival by the scruff of his neck and just underarming him. Once again, the height difference is just wild. But we get to see that Pelgard's like, yo, hate to say that, but that's never going to happen. And yeah, I kind of figured. Like, I know, unfortunately, as much as I would love if the traitor line pertained to Pelgard, I highly doubt it. However, this does lead to an interesting reconsideration of the prophecy, with that being the case. Because if Pelgar's not the traitor, then we still have the Assassin of Chaos that needs to come through, and the blade of a traitor. Hope will be snatched away once more. Notably, I still think Hope is Percival in this context, but if that's the case, then that means there's still an open Assassin of Chaos alongside the blade of a traitor, and someone does get a blade in this chapter. So we'll see, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a little bit. However, Percival obviously is about to kidnap Pelgar, and like Lance, unnecessarily calm, like unbelievably. I mean, I know you're used to getting kidnapped because you got kidnapped for like 5 years or whatever, and you lost your parents. Whatever, sucks to be you, man. But why are you letting Percival get kidnapped? Like, meanwhile, while Tristan, who doesn't know Percival from a can of paint, is like, let go of Percival, and is trying to scream and go help and save him, Lance is just deadpan. Like, the whole situation doesn't even matter to him. Like, he's still thinking about how he got assaulted a few chapters ago. And to be fair, that is pretty important. But come on now, man. I feel like you should have a bit more of a reaction than absolute deadpan. However, Pelgar ain't wasting no time, though. Because he immediately threw the shield. That thing went spinning. However, interestingly enough, like, I mean, maybe you shouldn't have reverted Tristan for this reason in particular. But, like, he throws the shield through them and then jumps up. Like, he literally goes past all of them. You're telling me not a single one of you could intercept that? Like, Tristan, instead of dodging, why don't you just catch it? Like, maybe that's the thing, like, strength-wise, I would assume that the three of them are stronger than Pelgard, considering Gawain just bullied him last chapter. Lancelot seems to be pretty comfortably above him and assuming that he can do something to him. And Tristan, I don't know, hybrid demon goddess who's somewhat comparable to Lancelot. Maybe you could have stopped this entire endeavor if you had just caught the shield instead of dodging. I don't know. I mean, I know I'm like going in on the chapter details, but I still love it. But at the same time, it's kind of weird how you kind of just let him dip when you easily could have just blocked off his escape route. And like, Pelgard, you're telling me you don't have a single teleport beat on you? Like, this is the most inefficient way to escape. I don't know why you're doing this, man. I get you love your shield, but whatever. But then we get to see Pelgard leaps onto the shield, and he's like, well, since everyone's going to be stupid, I'll just take advantage of your stupidity. I got my Percival, I got my shield, and I'm dipping. And he's proceeding to dip. And I do like how he uses the straps of his shield that he usually uses to hold his arms. Or like he usually uses to hold the shield to his arms, and he has his feet strapped in. I think that's really, really cool. That's like a cool way to multi-purpose a shield. But he even has like an evil... I really want to hear his laugh sounds once animated. Like the ga ha 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 ha. Like... I really want to. I want to know how to do it because, like, I can't even. Let me think. Like, essentially, Escanor's laugh. I know. I keep giving Escanor's voice actor pretty much everything to Pelgard, but I don't know. I feel like the two have a very similar. Like, I could see Escanor's voice actor doing the exact same thing. And interestingly enough, we get to see that Pelgard also is able to telepathically control his weapon. I mean, I don't know. Telekinesis is pretty. Maybe that's just an enchantment on that weapon specifically, but telekinesis is kind of common now. Like, Donnie, you ain't special, my boy. But we get to see the axe flips and it follows Pelgard, and essentially he's on the move. Interestingly enough, I guess Pelio's magic just doesn't work. Like, I guess it's just over now. Unless Pelgard was taking all this time to figure out how to like manipulate his will, I guess Pelio's magic just ran out. So it's not as good as I thought it was, unfortunately. But we get to see that Tristan now, like, dude, if you're really confident in going after Pelgard right now, you easily could have caught that shield, bro. There's no reason for you to dodge the shield, but he dodged it. But now Tristan's like, you're not escaping me. It spawned to all four wings and is getting it pushing. However, I guess Tristan is just rather slow because Pelgard manages to throw a perfect cube incantation bead so fast that Tristan can't even leave the range of the perfect cube before it gets activated. Like, he's literally trapped in there. And I will admit, that's a pretty good pro play by Pelgard. You know, lock off the three people that should be the only ones that can damage you with a spell that, on panel, we've only seen get broken by characters the level of Ten Commandment post-resurrection Meliodas. So, makes sense. I highly doubt any of the crew is that strong. I don't, like, as powerful as the crew is implied to be, it would be different if they were all suddenly DK Meliodas level immediately. That would be kind of wild. However, we get to see that now Percival's squad realized, oh no, the three people that can actually deal with Pelgard are now trapped. If we can't do anything, Percival's getting up out of here. And once again, I mean, no, I don't really. That's the thing. Unlike the Four Knights squad, which does definitely seem powerful enough to do something, but they're just standing around and watching Percival get kidnapped and just letting him, like, letting this whole situation happen. Like, I can't even blame Percy's group. Like, they legit aren't strong enough to do anything. So yeah, I get why they're so desperate, because they're invested in Percy. But Lance, you should be more invested in Percy. Like, he, notably throughout this entire interaction, Lance never takes his hands out of his pockets. He's just fine with all of this. And I don't know, it just feels weird. I really don't get Lance in this chapter. If that feels like Naka was like, hey, I know you're a super competent character who normally would never let this happen, but I'm gonna need you to let this happen. I don't know, it feels weird. Then we get to see that Percival's like, you tricked me! How dare you! And Pelgard asks the very obvious question of, like, in what way, shape, or form you took an unnecessary risk and it backfired? This is literally all your fault. That is the most accurate. Like, yeah, Percy, it'd be like that when it be like that sometimes. You were stupid. But we get to see that, like, Pelgard even straight up says, yeah, I know you're stupid. That's what I like about you. Like, I know he doesn't phrase it that way. He's just like, I knew just how much of a pushover you are. And that's what I like about you. And once again, right, I like Pelgard. I think he's great. I definitely see he's taken on, like, a masterly role to Percy. I keep calling him, like, either the godfather of Percy and or just a great uncle, or, like, uncle in the sense that you know your dad's best friend that isn't really your uncle but is. Yeah, that. Like, that's how I see Pelgard to Percy right now. And even Percy's like, oh, he likes me. Papa Pelgard, the best character in the series, he loves me. But then we get to see that Percy's like, well, let me go. And I once again, Percival just isn't strong enough. But then again, Percy, if you're getting kidnapped, why not just flare with your magic? It won't harm Pelgard, since for some reason you're against at least physically harming him, even though you're actively being kidnapped. But dude, you can fly too. Like, you don't just have to fight against him physically. You have magic that's big enough to make you, what, nearly rival size with an ancient dragon. I don't think Pelgard can keep his arm around you that much. Like, you know, the more and more I analyze this chapter, the more and more I, like, plot break it down, the less and less some of the choices, not only the choices of the characters make sense, but also, like, just general reactions to certain situations. There is one character in this chapter that comes out, actually two, Pelgard's perfectly fine. Actually, you know what? I'll just say two of the knights are kind of three. Oh no, yeah, I'll say two, because Percy is just stupid. I hate to say it, he's stupid for a good reason. So Percy's fine. The reason one character comes out of the chapter are entirely unscathed but better is what we're about to see, because we see while everyone's trapped in the perfect cube, Tristan's freaking out. Like, legitimately, as he straight up says, we let him kidnap Percival right from under. It wasn't even under you, Tristan. It was right in front of you. You watched him and let him walk up and get kidnapped. Yeah, that's stupid. And we get to see that Tristan asks Lance, like, why didn't you attack him as he fled with your magic? Percy, what? I'm never gonna get their names right. I'm just gonna always call Tristan Percy and Percy Tristan. It's just a law of nature. I'm sorry. I don't even know what their names aren't similar. I'm just bad. But we get to see Tristan ask Lance, like, yo, why didn't you attack him? But Tristan, why didn't you attack him? You literally have light magic. Twinkling Star is something that just spawns on people. You are literally an arc user. This isn't that difficult. You know what else is difficult? Pressing the like button. It really helps out the channel. Also pressing the subscribe button. That really helps out too. Thank you, man. But regardless, like, dude, both of you are at fault here. You dodged the shield instead of stopping it. You didn't use your magic, and Lancelot didn't use his magic. And notably, Lance's quote-unquote external excuse is that it'd take Percy down with him. But Lance, you know Percy can come back from the dead. Maybe. Did he see that? Well, Lance wasn't there. I'm assuming he sensed it, though. Like, Percy has died, essentially. And I know Lance has been there in moments where Percy has been darn near vaporized and or atomized, or at least extremely battle damaged. But at the same time, somehow, didn't do anything. Like, he was extremely battle damaged and just came back. So, Lance, what the heck, man? But we get to see that, I guess the main reason Lancelot has been so calm. But even then, like, I wouldn't even, like, in Lancelot's case, this is not something that's worth risking. Like, Pelgard may be an asset, but I don't think he's an asset relative to the value of Percival. Because the subconscious excuse that is given to us on why Lance was so passive and letting Percy do all this is because what I'm assuming is Lance was reading Pelgard's mind throughout the entire interaction and watching what Pelgard's internal monologue was in a way that we simply couldn't because we can't read hearts. So I guess Lance was banking on the fact that Percy could change Pelgard, but once seeing that Pelgard was not going to change, like once seeing the internal monologue of Pelgard, I feel like it doesn't really make sense for Lance to just stand there, hands in his pockets, and let Percy get taken away. Unless he has some extreme confidence that Pelgard isn't going to leave the kingdom. This is kind of foolish. But we get to see that, interestingly enough, we get a Greek god reference. I don't know. Like, Peliot, in response to the knights being trapped in, or Pelio. I keep calling him Peliot. Is it Pelio or Peliot? It is Peliot. I'm not crazy. What the heck? Hey, don't you shorten his name there, young man. Do you want your mouth, Prince Tristan? However, regardless, the name Thetis rings a bell, but it's at least, I don't know. I personally don't trust the wiki for everything, but I do trust the wiki for abstract characters. That's the only reason I could figure out who Hansel was a few chapters back. But Thetis isn't anyone we know so far, so I'm guessing they're the new great mage of Britannia. And notably, Thetis in Greek mythology is... Hold on, let me make sure I get this right, because I'm getting Lore Olympus and actual Greek mythology a little bit confused, so let me make sure. Google, empower me. In Greek, Thetis in Greek mythology is a narrated love by Zeus and Poseidon. When Themis... Yeah, okay, Themis versus Thetis. So yeah, she's a sea nymph. Interesting, goddess of water sometimes. So I wonder if Thetis is going to be an important character just because that's a relatively important name that rung a bell, and or we're just never going to see them. Because they aren't even needed, because we get to see that Gawain essentially, she knocks on the wall of Perfect Cube, and she's actually looking at it without arrogance, kind of just studying it, like she's seen it before. And then she, under her breath, mutters something so intelligible that we can't even read it, and then immediately the Perfect Cube gets dispelled. And notably, we get to see that took like no effort out of her. She kind of just did it naturally. And notably, the spell that I believe this is, which is Absolute Cancel, it didn't necessarily take energy out of any of the previous people we've seen use it, but I don't know, it was just such a casual dropping of such an iconic spell. And we get to see that no one even recognizes that spell before, or no one here at least has seen it used before, because Pelio doesn't know why the Perfect Cube is gone. Tristan doesn't immediately recognize why or how Gawain did that, and completely ignores the topic to quickly fly after Pelgard. And once, I mean, it's kind of interesting, but I'm not even going to really focus on that. Tristan flies off, but the more interesting interaction we get is between Lancelot and Gawain, because Lancelot, there's so many like implications about what just happens here, because Lancelot knows what absolute cancel is. So does he know it? Because no one else does, and absolute cancel is a pretty particular spell. Remember, not even the top mage in Britannia, in terms of Vivian, knew how to use it, or else she would have canceled the magic that was being used on her when she was bound with Gilthunder. So the only two people we saw use it were Merlin, the greatest mage across 5 realms at this point, considering original Gother is dead and both of the Demon King and Supreme Deity are dead, and also Chandler, the likely greatest mage out of the entire Demon Clan, who was also made by the Demon King. If anything, I'd assume Absolute Cancel is one of the many dark spells that was taught to Merlin by the Demon King in exchange for his supposed loyalty. But both Gawain and Lancelot have free knowledge and access of it, and I don't think you just randomly get that. So what does that mean? Does that mean Lancelot was taught that spell by the Lady of the Lake in his time period of training? Because, like, how do you recognize that spell? Because the main reason I'm so hung up on it is because it's not common. It's not your average mage goes around and knows it. That's why they need to go get someone specific. And I'm wondering if the status person would have even known. I guess they would have known Absolute Cancel, but who would have taught them that? I'm just very intrigued, because like Absolute Cancel and Counter Vanish are like the only 2 spells in this heavily magic rich world, and Magic Seal, that's another one. But they are the only 3 spells in this magic rich world that absolutely shut down other magics. And Lancelot and Gawain both know one of 3 extremely powerful spells. Quite interesting. I'm very intrigued to see where these 2 go, especially considering their next interaction, because Gawain notably completely ignores Lancelot's inquiry. She just absolutely overrides it and just says, "Heed my will, Sacred Sword Lita." And then she proceeds to cast another spell underneath her breath. But this spell isn't just any spell. It's another spell that we may recognize. And like there's so many interesting things happen here after this little particular interaction. But we're gonna cut back to that when we cut back to that. But note that she uses another spell. She does not just leap off somewhere. She specifically mutters a spell under her breath. And we get to see that the like button is free. And also the subscribe button. It would greatly help me out if you click one of those. But no, I'm kidding. Well, actually, I'm not kidding. But still, press one of those. We get to see that Donnie is determined to go after Lancelot. Well, not Lancelot. Donnie's determined to go after Lancelot. Donnie's telling Lancelot, "Hey, we need to go after Tristan, Percival, and Gawain." Well, Gawain didn't leave yet, but Tristan, Percival, and Pelgard. We need to get after them before they get too far away in order to help them out. But Lance, once again, is being extremely casual and saying, "No, let Tristan take care of that." Lance, this is one of the 4 knights being stolen, dog. Even if you don't know the context of the prophecy, even if you were reading Pelgar's mind and saying that he's hesitant to even get rid of Percival, you shouldn't just let him get kidnapped, especially when you guys have just met. But then, even Lancelot is caught off guard by Gawain just disappearing. Like, and notably, they all explicitly note that she's gone. She didn't just leap somewhere. And we even see it in the next shot, because we see Tristan and Pelgard are going somewhere. They are immediately flying in a certain direction. You don't see Gawain anywhere. But then we get to see that Percival acknowledges that Tristan is keeping up with them. And Pelgard's actually kind of impressed. They're like, "Wow, you can keep up with my round shield." And that's actually kind of interesting. And the main reason I say it's interesting, and Pelgard even notes it, is because travel speed in Seven Deadly Sins is really slow compared to combat speed. Like, remember, characters with feats that are much higher than light, and scaling with which is much higher than light speed in terms of combat, we're struggling to cover like 40 miles. And yet Tristan, he's flying with some velocity, I ain't even gonna lie. However, the velocity doesn't necessarily matter, because both Tristan, who for some reason is suppressed, like, I'm assuming base Tristan is weaker than the Tristan we saw at the end of last chapter with the Demon Eye and the Goddess Eye. But for some reason, despite expressly trying to catch up to Pelgard, Tristan has neither Demon Eye nor Goddess Eye activated as he's flying after him. But Pelgard and Tristan both sense something flying at them, something of magic. And we get to see a sword. just flying out of nowhere. And Pelgard instantly recognizes it as a blade, but that's not the interesting thing. The interesting thing is that the blade is caught by someone who appears right out of nowhere, and it's Gawain. And Gawain, and like notably, that sword moved pretty quick, because like Pelgard acknowledges that it's a sword, and then by the moment he acknowledges that it's a blade, Gawain appears and is directly above Pelgard, like reeling back mid-swing. So that sword's pretty darn fast. And Gawain is literally just floating there, like straight up appeared out of nowhere, to the point where Pelgard's like, wait, where did you even... And before we get into that next interaction, does anyone else think that that blade looks a little bit familiar? Look at it kind of closely. Does it resemble anything we've seen before? Does it almost look like that blade could extend a little bit longer and maybe not be a blade at all? And what magic does Gawain... It's called Lita. I ain't gonna play games with you. I think it's the end of Escanor's axe. I literally think it's... Remember, if you direct yourself all the way back to chapter 296 of Seven Deadly Sins, you'll see that when Escanor was punted away by the original demon, Rita broke, but in the vicinity of Camelot. And notably, one piece of it is very well... like, it's still held together. And we know that Rita also had the property of being able to come to Escanor whenever he called for it. So I think literally, like, a whole theory video going to drop on Gawain, essentially. But I think Gawain's blade is quite literally just the end of Escanor's axe that Merlin picked up and had remade for her. Bada bing, bada boom. There you go. There's the theory. But, well, no, there's still more theory to be done there. But still, I think if that is the case, that's a really cool way to reuse Rita, considering Rita kind of got broke. Kind of sucks. But still, but even though, I will admit, it's kind of a stupid blade. Like, compared to Rita, the amazing design that it was, like, the little stubby blade sword that Gawain has, I hope it gets bigger. I hope, like, she can, like, manipulate the size of it or something, because it looks kind of weak right now. And not gonna lie, 3 of the 4 knights wielding swords, still not known for... I know they're all different types of swords. Like, Gawain has a pretty just fat blade edge with a very short handle. We know that Tristan has the dual wield, like he has the one sword, which, shout outs to y'all for letting me know, in the Q&A, they are called Esterosa and Mael, and that's a really cool homage. The idea that Mael trained Tristan and not Elizabeth and Meliodas would be really, really cool. I'd actually be down for that. And if he named his swords for his master, that's really, really cool. I like that idea. But then also Percival has a sword. And who knows, maybe he will get a different sword. But even in that, like, ominous flashback reveal all the way back in chapter 6, he was wielding a sword. It's just that the hilt was covered, so you couldn't see it was dragon handled. So, kind of wish we had more weapon diversity. That was one of my favorite things about Seven Deadly Sins, the original. Meliodas had a sword. Diane had a hammer. Gothru had a bow and arrow. Bon had a 4-piece staff. King had a spear, Merlin had a ball, and Escanor had an axe. They all had different weapons. Meanwhile, we're kind of just getting 3 different variations on swords. And I know, swords, very big very big part of medieval culture and stuff like that. And they're commonly associated with knights and stuff like that. But still, variety would have been a bit nicer instead of just the size of the sword. However, back to the combat itself. Actually, before we get back to the combat itself, Gawain also knows how to teleport. That's explicitly what that was. She activated a spell earlier, teleported to Pelgard, and intercepted her own weapon mid-flight. It's literally Merlin and Escanor's love child. Sunshine plus Escanor's... Well, no, that is Escanor. Sunshine plus all of Merlin's abilities. I don't want to go full in depth here because I've already talked way too long for this chapter, but like, the idea that Merlin may have just experimentally made a vessel for Sunshine and then taught it everything she knew to kind of just like... I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna make a whole series video about Gawain. However, we get to see Gawain pops up, and she was honest about her words. She said, "I believe I told you I would kill you." And we get to see Pelgard being like, and you would just kill Percival too? And Gawain, she may have shot up to my favorite... I really like Lance. Like, even without a quote-unquote how out of character he's been in this chapter, I still really like him a lot. But we get to see that she's like, "What do I care. And then she immediately sliced Pelgard straight down. And like, I'm not gonna lie, before I like analyze the whole page, I thought she even explicitly swung for Percival. But like, I thought she straight sliced Pelgard's whole arm off. But no, she did get him straight down the middle. But it's very interesting to have a dynamic where this blade, this weapon, the prophecy said the blade of a traitor. I mean, I don't think Gawain's gonna be the traitor. I think she's literally just being savage because that's just in her nature. And you very explicitly see that even with her declaration of like, what do I care if Percival dies? Like, didn't really bother her. She didn't actually hit Percival at all. Like, Percival, he has some blood on him, but that's specifically Pelgard's blood because Pelgard was forced to drop. Never mind. Well, let me shut up. Maybe Gawain is the traitor. Hold on. I take it back. Or maybe she is. Hold on. Now I need to reread the. Whoa. But through the work of an assassin of chaos and a blade of a traitor, hope will be snatched away once more. Blade of a traitor. So initially, I thought after my reread, Gawain was actually being nice and just talking smack. Like, yeah, she would kill Percival because she didn't care. But no, the only reason Percival didn't actually take damage is because Pelgard did throw him away. He did straight up spare Percival. So that attack, but then again, it's interesting because let's see, it's a perspective thing, right? Because Pelgard was holding Percival in his right arm, and Gawain seemingly sliced. So I'm very intrigued. Maybe, just maybe, I still don't think Gawain is actually the traitor. Hold on. I was about to switch up. I'll straight up admit I was about to switch up. But because there's no way, unless Pelgard violently shifted Gawain's trajectory in the middle of her swinging her blade, there's no way that she was actually going to hit Percival. Because her strike is way too far to the right. So while Pelgard did show that he really does care for Percival by throwing him away, proving Percival's point earlier that he is not as bad as a guy as Ironside or Arthur, who probably would have sacrificed Percival right then and there. Probably would have used Percival as a meat shield, honestly. But at the same time, I think Gawain is literally just following her instincts here and is just getting ready to get rid of Pelgard because he's proven a threat and has insulted her. But we get to see that, obviously, Pelgard being sliced across the whole chest, getting right down the middle, that's not the best thing for Percival, and he even adamantly declares that she needs to stop. And Gawain is like, no. This is a bisect. Pelgard completely even declares that it's time to end him, but Percival angrily declares, stop, and even attacks Gawain. I'm not sure if it's a karate chop or a punch, but he activates his hope magic, knocks Gawain away, and looks angry at her. However, Gawain, like, I never seen Bloodlust like Gawain's Bloodlust. Like, the sheer look of, it's a mix of intrigue, anger, and fear. Like, I get most of the anger from, like, the shading that Nakaba does on her. And you could almost tell, like, she's right about to flare into her magical aura to start this fight up again. But at the same time, it looks like she's almost intrigued, like, oh, you did that. That's what you plan to do? You shouldn't have done. Like, if anything portrays, you shouldn't have did that. That was there. And that's where the chapter ends. So next up, we're going to get the Hope versus... Wait a minute, Percival's classification is the death. The death versus the famine. I mean, famine usually is a cause of death. So who knows? Reasonably, by what we've seen so far, and especially considering how diverse Gawain's arsenal already seems to be, there's no way Percival's winning this fight. However, it seems like Pelgard will escape, but will he escape with Percival? We'll find out next time on 4 Nights of the Apocalypse. No, I'm kidding. But essentially, this was a really, really good chapter. I know I was kind of like nitpicking all throughout, but I nitpick the things I love. And I really appreciate this chapter. It's a chapter that puts a lot of things into question, and I'm very intrigued about that. And I will admit, I do hope Next chapter ends up with a little bit more, conflict. I'm not gonna lie, like physical conflict. Because notably, last week's chapter hyped me up for like a really big fight between the four knights and Pelgard, like straight up hands being thrown. But this chapter sort of just ended up killing all of that hype intent. Sure, it raised a bunch of questions, but like the time for questions is over. The four knights had finally gathered. They had an opponent they could possibly go all out on. We still haven't gotten much of Gawain. Sure, she shut down Pelgard, and obviously she did a little teleportating and some perfect cube cancel. But legitimately, I was ready for a battle. I'm not gonna lie. So the fact that we kind of just neutralized here, so Pelgard could run away, snatch at the hope a little bit, and I'm not sure. Like, that kind of drags the chapter down because I feel like it's a waste of hype. But overall, I still really, really enjoy it. However, those are my thoughts. Please tell me your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Nago the Pencil, writing off.